transitioning from 0 to 1 kids for me was so incredibly hard. I almost kind of felt like something was wrong with me, that I didn't feel complete joy in every single part that is motherhood. This is for Rocky's sake. This is for my sanity. I am currently cultivating and shaping this little personality, this little human, to be the best human that I can raise.
This is a good day as any.
Hello you guys, and welcome back to another video. If you are new, my name is Kylene. I have a 16-month-old son and I'm pregnant with a baby girl. I'm due April 6th, so I am almost 29 weeks pregnant. I'll be 29 weeks pregnant when you guys see this. I today want to talk about a topic that I hope is perceived well. I will give some disclaimers later on, but it's the fact that I don't love all parts of being a mom, and that was very hard for me to say or admit for a long time. But I got this video idea from a Instagram story that I posted. Someone asked for first-time mom advice, and my top thing that I shared was it's okay not to love every part of motherhood. And this is actually advice I received from one of you. I suck and I don't remember her name. But she shared this with me and it stuck so hard, and I feel like it was exactly what I needed to hear, because when I was feeling like I wasn't loving all parts of motherhood, I felt so much guilt and shame, and I had never heard anyone really talk about that, and it made me feel very alone. So I really just wanted to create this video to help any of you guys who need to hear this, but I also just kind of want to expand on what I mean and just share my story and share ways that I go about loving motherhood and the mundane parts, the repetitive, the restrictive parts of motherhood, and how I go about feeling happy and finding joy in those moments. I started a series a while back. I think my first video about it was like 4 days postpartum, and it was a truth about motherhood, or the truth about series, where I just kind of explain things that I've never heard anyone talk about, and I'm just like very real with you guys, like I was talking to a friend. And I actually haven't made a video like this in a long time, so now that I'm in the like toddlerhood parts of motherhood, I thought it would be fun to bring this series back. So if you guys want to watch any of those videos, I will leave them linked down below. But my plan for this video is to kind of just like share my experience, my thoughts, things that made me not really love motherhood, and then to give you guys ways that I have gone about tackling that and finding joy in the day-to-day. Before we get into today's video, I did want to thank today's sponsor, which is BetterHelp. As you guys know, 2022 is bringing so many changes for my growing family, and I talked a bit about the goals that I wanted to achieve within the first quarter in a video I did back, but something that I want to focus on for the entirety of 2022 is keeping my mental health in check, specifically with what this video is about, and that is just finding joy and happiness in the mundane parts of motherhood. I will share my many ways and plans as to how to do so, but one of the best ways to stick to or follow through with a mental health goal is to work with a licensed professional therapist. With BetterHelp, you can access their network of over 20,000 licensed therapists. They will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional, someone that fits your needs and your desires. If you've ever searched for a counselor in your area, then you know it can take up to weeks or even months to just get a phone call back. But with BetterHelp, you will be able to start communicating with your therapist in as little as 48 hours. BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches, so if you feel like you're not fitting with your therapist, they make it very easy for you to switch over to a new one, and that is free of charge as well. You can log in at any point to message your therapist. You will get timely and thoughtful responses, and you can also schedule weekly video or phone calls to meet with your therapist. You'll never have to be uncomfortable again sitting in a waiting room like you would for traditional therapy. BetterHelp is available worldwide, and it is more affordable than traditional therapy. Financial aid is also available if needed. BetterHelp is not a crisis line. It is not self-help. It is professional therapy done online securely. BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life today. Join the over 1 million people who are already taking charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. If you guys want to check it out, then visit betterhelp.com/Kylene for 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/KILEAN. Just like myself, you guys all deserve to prioritize your mental health, so if that sounds like something you'd like to do, I will leave all of my information down below in the description box to make it nice and easy for you. Okay, let's get into the video, because I know that was a long intro. I need to start this video out with a huge disclaimer, because I honestly contemplated filming this, and I asked Nathaniel. We had a few conversations because I really don't want this to be perceived wrong. I am so incredibly happy to be a mother. I absolutely love Rocky. I love this baby girl. Both of them were planned. I know I'm very fortunate to be able to have babies, and so I don't want that to come off negative, because I know, and I'm very thankful and grateful. I have always wanted to be a mother, and overall I absolutely adore motherhood. It is the best thing that has ever happened to me, and it is something that I look forward to every single day. But when I found parts of it that I didn't necessarily love, I felt so alone, because I felt like no one ever really shared that. I almost kind of felt like something was wrong with me, that I didn't feel complete joy in every single part that is motherhood. This conversation is something that I wish I would have had access to, that I could have listened to and maybe not felt so alone. So that is exactly why I'm making today's video, and I really hope that this video speaks to you guys in a way that it needs to be. But I wanted to kind of just start off the video by sharing my experience with motherhood, and kind of how I got led to this state of not loving all parts of motherhood. So we're gonna start before I got pregnant with Rocky. So this was 2019. Nathaniel and I had just gotten married in March. We knew we wanted to start a family soon, but I was in a very happy place. 2019 was a really good year for us, but I always longed to be a mother. Growing up, I was one of 7 kids. I was one of the older kids, so I was constantly helping with my siblings. I babysat since I was 11 years old. I nannied through college, and a lot of my friends had kids too, and so I felt this huge pull to have a kid, but it took us a while until me and Nathaniel were both on the same page. And I remember just feeling so purposeless. Like, I remember one time I was driving home from work and I called my sister-in-law and I just started crying because I just felt like I had no purpose. And for me, the huge thing that I knew was gonna make me feel purposeful was having a child. So when I got pregnant, I was stoked. I was so excited. There was not really any fear. I felt very confident, and I was very excited to enter this stage of life. My pregnancy was fairly easy with Rocky. I had a couple weeks of nausea that went away pretty soon. My biggest hurdle was gestational diabetes, which I feel like I've talked about quite a bit recently, but it wasn't that bad. Like, everything was pretty good. I felt good. I felt confident. I felt ready to be a mom. And I was still able to do whatever I wanted whenever I wanted, because I didn't have a child. And so while I was pregnant, nothing really felt different besides the fact that I was like carrying around some extra pounds. But when I gave birth, my world instantly changed, as I'm sure makes sense. But my top priority was no longer myself. I was constantly consumed with just feeding Rocky and keeping him on a schedule and trying to make sure he was getting enough sleep, and worrying about so many things, and just being anxious and scared, and just so many things that were just all consuming. Transitioning from 0 to 1 kids for me was so incredibly hard, and I pray that that's the hardest change for me. I really do think it is, because I feel like the more kids that you add, like, you kind of already know motherhood. Yes, it's gonna bring challenges in other ways, but for me personally, the change alone was huge, and it just slapped me in the face. I feel like I'm gonna say this 1,000 times because I don't want you guys to hear me wrong. I could talk on and on about the things I love about motherhood. You guys know this is me sharing the parts that I don't love. But the first year of Rocky's life was really hard for me, and it was extremely taxing. I feel like I have shared quite a bit with this, but the biggest thing that was super hard was nursing. Our journey was so incredibly difficult. And if you guys are curious, I will link the video down below where I share my entire journey of breastfeeding with Rocky. But yeah, I didn't really feel like I could leave him. I felt so much anxiety when I did. And at the beginning, when I did leave him, Rocky would cry until I got back, which, as a mom trying to enjoy self-care, things like going to Target or whatever, knowing that your baby's just unhappy while you're gone was not good, and it wasn't enjoyable. I want to share a few stories because I feel like I didn't really talk about these when they happened, but I remember one time, I think Rocky was maybe a couple months old at the oldest, and I wanted to go to Target, and I was on a 3-hour clock of feeding him, and so I fed him, and I was like, Nathaniel, I'm just gonna go up to the stores, I just want to go shop around, like, whatever. And so like 30 minutes passed or so, and I try and call Nathaniel just to check in because I was so stressed, and he wasn't answering, and that's like the worst when they don't answer. But he finally talked to me, and he had said that Rocky had screamed for like 30 or 40 minutes. He basically cried himself to sleep, and then 30 or 40 minutes later, he woke up crying again. And so when I finally had talked to Nathaniel, I was like, what the heck? Like, why didn't you tell me? And so I remember just like racing home. Literally, like, I didn't listen to music. I was just so consumed, like, I need to get home, I need to get home. It was just so much for me. Like I've mentioned, I was very confident in becoming a mom, and I asked Nathaniel if I could share this, and he was totally good with it, but he legit hadn't even changed a diaper, and so he was not very confident, and Rocky definitely preferred me. So in those first like few months, especially like the first 6 months, I did a lot, and those are words that came out of Nathaniel's mouth. Like, I basically did everything. I mean, Nathaniel was so incredibly supportive, and he always was there like emotionally and just supporting me, but a lot of it did rely on me, and that was very, very taxing. I remember too trying to like leave him with my parents. He would just cry, and we would leave and he would cry. We'd come back and he was crying, and like he just looked so sad. And I knew that it was horrible for him, but also it was horrible for my parents. Like the whole time they're just trying to like get him to calm down, and it just felt really hard to do anything for ourselves because we just felt like we couldn't. The other thing that I really struggled with within the first 6 months was entertaining Rocky. I really feel like until babies can sit up, there's not a whole lot that they can do. And when it's your first kid, you're the only one entertaining them, whereas like a sibling could be super helpful to like keep their eyes busy or whatever. But I remember struggling so hard, and each day passed and I was like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do again today? Like there's nothing we can do. Like he just lays here and he wants to be held, and it was just so, it was a lot. I also felt like everything that I wanted to go do was so much harder, and then even if I just wanted to get things done around the house, it almost felt impossible when he was awake. Like I would wait till he was asleep, and of course that then created this environment where he was used to me just like hanging out with him fully while he was awake, and not allowing me to do much while he was awake until he fell asleep, and then I could do like my work or household chores or anything like that. So it was just, yeah, I don't feel like I have another word besides the fact that it was just a lot. I'm sorry if this feels like it's jumping around quite a bit, but I'm trying to just like share as much as I can. But I remember probably around like 3 months into motherhood, I remember having a thought of just like, what did I do? Like my life was so easy. Like, was I actually ready for this? Why did I make such a big change? And I kind of mourned my old life, and I wished the current life away, which was so hard for me to admit. It took me so long to tell that to Nathaniel, and as you can see, it's taken me 16 months to share with you guys, but I honestly, part of me just doesn't even want to like keep that part of this video in, and that's because I felt so much guilt for feeling that. But the more I have talked about it, the more I have realized it is completely normal, and I hope you guys hearing me say that makes you feel that way too if you've experienced that thought. But you almost do have to just kind of mourn your own self, because life is completely different. And the great thing about motherhood is as time goes on, things get easier and you learn how to deal with more. And I feel like the less I nursed him, the more he was able to move. I felt more freedom and more flexibility. We can now leave him at our parents' and he's not gonna cry when we leave or cry as we're getting home. He's actually stayed the night at my mom's house and he did perfectly fine. Like, and I remember just thinking in this time, like, oh, that would be so nice if I could just like go to lunch for an hour, like without stressing. And so I think a lot of it just comes with time. But yeah, it was hard, and me accepting the fact that I didn't love all parts was hard. There are still many days where I feel very restricted, sometimes even trapped, for a lack of a better word. I do feel like I miss out on a lot, especially with people around me who are not in the same stage of life. That part's been really hard with my family. I'm one of 7 kids and I'm the only one who has had kids yet, and so everyone else can just kind of like get up and go and do things, and I'm constantly worried about, okay, where's Rocky gonna sleep if he needs a nap, or like, how could I do that with him? He's too young for that, or just like thoughts like that. And a lot of times I do have to sit out and take one for a team. But I do feel like 16 months in, I've kind of come to terms with it. I've accepted that that's how life is. And I'm not saying that it's not hard at all anymore, but I feel like that makes me not feel as like sad about it, just knowing that like this is the stage of life I'm in. And I feel like I'm really trying to focus on this for this year, because I'm gonna be back into that very restrictive stage where I am constantly nursing a baby. They're trying to sleep all the time, and I don't want to wish away the first year. I feel like it's very easy to wish away the parts of a newborn and baby that is just so hard. There's so many sleepless nights, there's lots of feeding, there's lots of pain, there's lots of stress, but I don't want to wish it away. And I just want to make it a goal to just enjoy the stage of life I am. Like I've titled this video, to find happiness in the mundane parts of motherhood. So I want to transition into things that I feel like have helped me in the past 16 months or so not feel as sad about certain things that I can't do anymore, or just kind of like, what is life, you know, because it's just so repetitive. You're doing the same thing day in and day out. And yeah, I just want to share, because I feel like, again, I wish I would have had something like this to watch. So the first thing I feel like I've talked about quite a bit recently, but that is involving Rocky in everyday tasks. So for an example, when I am cooking, cleaning, doing laundry, like all those things, instead of having him whine at my feet because he wants my attention, I'm having him do the tasks with me. So I will have him help wash things in the sink. I will have him turn on the laundry. He literally is so stoked to do that, and he knows exactly how now. But I feel like this is something that I actually learned in therapy, was to just kind of slow down and experience the present of what you're actually doing. And I remember my therapist gave me a practice, and it was just to kind of be mindful of your 5 senses while going through the motions of things. And her example was while you were cooking, to just like smell all the smells, to taste things, to see, to hear, like just feel all of that instead of just like rushing through, oh, I gotta make dinner super fast, and like, oh, my kid's crying, but I'll just leave him crying really quick so I can hurry up and finish. Like, I don't know, I'm trying to just like slow down. I feel like that has helped a ton, especially with a busy toddler who wants to do a lot. It's really helped me. A kitchen helper, if you guys don't have one, you need one. It is literally the best thing for a toddler because they become eye level with the counter and they get so involved. And I want to kind of translate this into bringing in a new baby. I want to continue to do that kind of stuff with her. And so instead of her helping me make dinner, I'm going to prop her up on the counter and have her watch. I'm not going to be able to just completely be holding her like I was with Rocky. And so I do think that part will help, but yeah, I just want to continue to do things while my kids are awake and realize that they don't need my attention 24/7. The next thing that I feel like I have to have at least one of per week is a play date. This is for Rocky's sake. This is for my sanity. This is to make the weeks not as long and dreadful and not be the one who is constantly entertaining my child. Sometimes I've had weeks where I schedule something every single day and it is too much. I feel like I become overly exhausted running to different places, and it's a lot of just like stimulation that I personally don't need, and I feel like Rocky probably as well. And so scheduling too much or too little is not good. I would find your happy medium. Find days where it's just you and your kids, and find days that you get to have your kids play with other kids and you get to talk to other moms who are in the same stage of life. But this has been a just necessity for me to get through the weeks and not just only live for the weekends, if that makes sense. Another thing that I'm constantly trying to come up with is different activities to do with Rocky. So a huge thing is sensory activities. You guys can look on TikTok for these. You can look on Pinterest. I do have some in my highlights on Instagram under Reels, I believe, and so you guys can check those out too. But coming up with different activities that is not just playing in the playroom or playing outside, doing the same thing every single day, is so helpful. Another thing with this is just like doing crafts or like playing with chalk outside instead of like just riding a bike the whole time, or I don't know, just doing different things that are not a part of your daily routine is super helpful for us too. And it's kind of fun because I get to be creative, and Rocky enjoys that he gets to do different things, and it's good for sensory processing and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I highly recommend getting creative with your activities. Another thing I try to get creative with is the things that we do. So I will go to different parks that are just really even like neighborhoods around us. I will also try and do different activities, like we have a jump place. We have certain like obstacle course kind of big play gym kind of places here. I know that this can be kind of hard with COVID and depending on your guys' rules, but Arizona is not as strict as other places. And so get creative. And I also know that a lot of you are dealing with snow, and we don't, it's literally sunny and 75 outside right now, but try and get creative with that too. Maybe you bring some snow inside and have them play like on the tile, or you make like obstacle courses in the snow with like slides and like things to climb up, or I don't know. You're gonna have to get creative with this kind of stuff, which I wish I had more harsher climates so I could show you guys. But I bet you if you look on Pinterest or TikTok or something, someone has created something that can make things a little bit easier for you. Another thing that I like to do with Rocky is take him on like a little mini date. So sometimes we will go get breakfast out or lunch, or we will go get donuts or something like that. Just something different where him and I can go out and again break up our day-to-day routine of just making breakfast and eating at home. It's more fun. It's just something to look forward to. It's just little extra things like that that sometimes you forget you can do, kind of go a long way with like making the week not seem as repetitive. This next one I still have not mastered, but when people offer help, say yes. I have a hard time saying yes from friends, but I'm getting really good at it from our parents and our siblings. But if someone offers to help you, let them help you. I'm kind of smiling because my friend offered last week and I just felt like I was gonna burden her, so I said no. But I really should have said yes to it because she was offering to help and that means she wants to help. But seriously, just letting other people entertain your kid for a little bit or just like take the workload off of you will make you feel so much more refreshed. And when you go back to being with your kid again, you're going to be so much more patient and happy. And it's just a good break for the two of you. Even if it's just asking your significant other for like an hour or so by yourself where you can be separated from your baby, and that way again when you come back to him or her, you're way more patient, way more excited, and not as drained. Okay, I just have a couple more things, and these may seem silly, but I promise they help so much. The next one is positive affirmations, which I'm not someone who's gonna sit here and like chant them out loud, but in moments where I'm feeling completely in a rut and just like very negative, I try to remind myself of the positive things in my life. So I want to share a couple with you guys because I feel like some of these things are very overlooked, and for myself it was nice just even writing them down and reading them. So the first positive affirmation I have is just the simple fact that I get to be a mom. And this is something that not everyone gets the pleasure of, and it's something I have dreamt of for so many years. And so just reminding yourself of the simple fact that like you are lucky to get to be a mom, I feel like can do way more than you would think. Another one for me is I can often feel like I wish I had time to myself to work more, but I remind myself that my job is so flexible and I get to stay home with my kids, which I know so many of you don't get the pleasure of that and you wish for it. And so I try and remind myself of how lucky I am that I can be home with my kids, that I can be there for every single moment, but then I also get to work and provide for my family too. And again, this is a dream that I've always had, I've worked for so many years, and so that can often go overlooked, but the fact that I get to be with my kid is so amazing. The other thing I like to remind myself of is that I am currently cultivating and shaping this little personality, this little human, to be the best human that I can raise, and that takes so much time and patience and presence, and I need to just stay in that moment and try not to get out of it because that is so important and that is so cool and that is so rewarding. And I feel like it makes you realize you're doing so much more on a day-to-day than just like feeding them, entertaining them, that kind of thing, because you're shaping this little human that's going to contribute to the world. And I think that is so cool, and to me that feels very fulfilling and that feels very purposeful. Those are my affirmations I want to share. I highly recommend you guys either write some down below or just tell yourself a few too. The last thing I wanted to wrap up on was just the fact that this is a stage of life and it will be over quick. And I feel like when you're in a certain stage of life, it's really hard to remind yourself of that. But this will pass and these hard days will pass. And I know you'll look back and you'll kind of laugh because you will be like, oh, that wasn't actually that bad. But in the moment, it feels like a lot. And so I think if you just remember it's all a stage of life, it's really easy to just kind of push through a little bit more. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was portrayed correctly. If any of you guys have had 1 to 2 kids, I would love to hear your struggles of that transition as well as things that you did to make your life easier, kind of like I'm doing for 0 to 1. I need the help for 1 to 2. I'm not as nervous for it as I was for 0 to 1. Like I said, I think that's going to be the hardest transition for me because I'm already in this stage of life, but I know it's going to come with its own struggles. So I'd love to be humbled and then also given some advice of what to do to kind of make life easier. Don't forget to check out BetterHelp by using my link betterhelp.com/Kylene. Like I said, that is betterhelp.com/KILEAN. All the information will be down below. But yes, I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.